told you at the beginning it was going to be a very special night, and we're only just getting going here. And I want to thank Stanley also for his service to our great country. It's my privilege to introduce our first special guest tonight. William Timmons entered Congress in 2019 with a commitment to bring real reform to Washington. His experience as a prosecutor and small business owner inspired him to run for public office. As a state senator, he fought for accountability and transparency in Columbia. In Congress, William is a voice for upstate residents and South Carolina's business community as a member of the Financial Services Committee. In addition to his role on the committee, Congressman Timmons was chosen by the Republican leader to serve as vice chair of the Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress and elected by his classmates to represent them on the Republican Steering Committee. William is a lifelong member of Christ Church in Greenville and also serves as a JAG officer and captain in the South Carolina Air National Guard. He and his wife Sarah live in Greenville, and it's my pleasure to welcome Congressman William Timmons.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Colonel, thank you for inviting me to speak. It really is an honor. I've been in Congress for 3 years now, and most of the time when I get in front of a big group, I often think that there's at least a few dozen people that I'm speaking to that deserve to be up here more than I am. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. I met Colonel Sweet when he was also running for Congress 4 years ago, and we had a debate. And in that debate, one of the questions that was asked was, if you can't win, who do you want to win? And I immediately said, Colonel Sweet. I said, he spent 3 decades in the military, he wants what's best for this country, and he's a true patriot. So I was reminiscing on that because you're lucky that you didn't win. Serving in Congress is actually pretty terrible. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about my military service. I was in the state senate. Before that, I was a prosecutor, and I wanted to serve. I actually went to the Naval Academy when I was 18, and I was young and left, and the tennis coach told me I could do whatever I wanted to in the military, and then I got there, and they're like, that's not how the military works. But I always wanted to serve, and so I have been applying for the National Guard year after year. There's not a lot of slots in the National Guard for lawyers. Generally, when you get in, you don't leave. So I applied 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row, and it's really a pain because they make you resubmit everything every year that you don't get in, which is a reminder that you didn't get in. 2 weeks before the primary, when I first got elected to Congress 4 years ago, I got a call and they said, you're in. When do you want to get sworn in? And I was just kind of like, oh, really? Okay, this is interesting timing. So I drove down to Columbia 9 days before the primary. My theory was that I've always wanted to do it, and they finally accepted me. There's 13 people in the primary. Worst case scenario, I'll still be in the Senate, and I'll get to also serve in the National Guard. And then I won, and I got to do both. Going to training was challenging. Obviously, you know, it's 8 weeks and then 6 weeks, and I'm also in Congress, so it's kind of weird going to basic training when you're in Congress. It's very strange, you can only imagine. But they sent me to training at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And it was very special for me because I was, they had 2 runways. They turned one of them into what is now the officer training site. And I'm out there, marching at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's freezing cold, and I'm just sitting here thinking about my grandfather, Bill Timmons. I'm the 4th, he was junior. He actually, in World War II, became a pilot. And I had the same story, he told it often. He went into the Army Air Corps and graduated top of his class in flight school. He flew heavies, bombers, and every single person that graduated in his class, except for him, went to the European theater, and every single person did not come back. And he, because he graduated first in his class, they said, do you want to become a flight instructor? We need flight instructors. And he said that but for graduating first in his class and becoming a flight instructor, I would be here. And he beat that into my head because he wanted me to know how important it was to be the best and to excel in all that you do. He was about to go to the Asian theater to Japan when we dropped the bomb, and he did not end up going. He did get polio, and he was in a wheelchair for most of his life. And I tell you that because we're here to honor veterans. The United States government did right by him. He served, he got polio, he received disability. Keep in mind, he lived for 67 years after his service. That's not right. 57 years after his service. He got $273 a month, and he was able to use that money to build a business, use that money to have 8 children. He met my grandmother when he was in Warm Springs, Arkansas, recovering from polio. I guess he never really recovered, but he was in the hospital there. So I give you all of that. We were just talking about Mr. Sedgman and the Greatest Generation. We've gone soft. This country has gone soft. I mean, it is what it is. We would never allow what is happening right now in Ukraine to happen 60 years ago. Hell, we wouldn't let it happen 5 years ago. But here we are. Women and children are being intentionally killed, tens of thousands of them. And we're not doing enough. You can argue that we should put boots on the ground. You can argue we should give more tools. Whatever it is, we're not doing enough. And our weakness here domestically is what's causing that. Our weakness makes the world unsafe. The Greatest Generation created the most human prosperity in the history of the human civilization. And I go to Washington every other week thinking of, I don't want to say how far we've fallen, but the thing that sticks in my mind is this. Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and then you do it again. And unfortunately, we are currently in a situation where weak men create hard times. I don't want to talk about politics, but that's where we are. And I do believe that the pendulum is going to swing back. I do believe that we are going to get back on track. But it is painful to see this country in the position that it is in right now. Like Colonel Speedy, very concerned about spending, very concerned about our debt, $30 trillion in debt. I've been in Congress for 3.5 years, and I've only voted one time for spending. And it was a couple weeks ago when, for a procedural reason, the speaker broke apart what is normally one big bill into military spending in Ukraine, really, and everything else. And everything else was really bad. It was really bad. But I voted to support the military and to send aid to Ukraine. And it was the first time in my entire 3.5 years that I've ever voted to spend $1 of your tax dollars. But it's because the military is the core function of government. The federal government, literally, if they do nothing else, they should protect us from invasion, from foreign sovereigns that are attacking us. So we have the lowest number of veterans serving in Congress right now than any period since World War I. I'm part of a group of members serving currently that we have been recruiting heavily to try to increase that, to try to stop that trend. And we have a lot of incredible veterans that have stepped forward to serve yet again. One of the things that is probably the most enjoyable, the best part of being in Congress is constituent services, and in particular, veteran services. And I'm going to introduce Colonel Stahl over here, Marine Corps Colonel, American hero. Most people stop at one Purple Heart. He got 6. And an Red Cross. So he has been such an incredible asset to our team. I get weekly emails from people that are so pleased with his ability to navigate all the veterans issues, to get the Department of Defense to do what it is supposed to do. Most recently, he talked to a retired Navy SEAL, and that Navy SEAL was getting $30-something a month in his pension. And after a short conversation with the good colonel and a lot of paperwork, he's now getting $80-something a month. If he lives another 20 years, that's $1.6 million, changes family's life. We have another gentleman that served, and he was due a lot of benefits that he's been fighting with the VA for years. Colonel Stahl was able to get him backpacked and appropriately compensated for the board. He got a $150,000 check. This man was not doing well financially. To say that changed his life is truly incredible. I could keep going on and on and on, but I just want you to understand that probably the single most rewarding part of this job is constituent services. And within the constituent services area, it is veterans benefits, veteran services, and Colonel Stahl is just incredible, and we just appreciate him being on the team. So, I'm not your boss. Don't call me that. We don't use that word. We're a team. So, I also want to talk about this country and the geographic differences. I don't know the exact statistic, but the southeast in Texas, if you look at everybody's in the military right now, it's like 60-70% of the people serving in the military coming from the southeast, coming from Texas. We have such a strong history, such a strong military tradition here, such a strong degree of patriotism, and I just really want everybody to appreciate how fortunate we are to live in a place that values our veterans, that values our national security, that puts a premium on those that step forward to serve. It is less common now, the statistics, fewer than 0.5% of our population serve in our military, less than 7% of the people alive have ever served. There's 400,000 veterans in South Carolina, and 40,000 veterans living here in the 4th Congressional District, Spartanburg. That is not normal. We've had a disproportionate share relative to other parts of this country because we care. We care about our vets. We care about people that step forward and defend this country and kept us safe. And I just want everybody to appreciate how fortunate we are to live in such a wonderful area. So I often say, if you're going to support something, you got to put your money where your mouth is. So Colonel Smead doesn't know this, but I'm happy to contribute $1,000 to Veterans Last Resort. We have worked hand in hand with Colonel Smead. He's doing an incredible job. This is an important mission. We are happy to do everything we can to support you. thank you for having me, and I just want to thank you all for supporting Better Self-Control, and look forward to the much better speaker that's next.
Let's thank Congressman Timmons one more time. Thank you, Congressman. As you see, dinner is starting to be delivered to your tables, and we look forward to sharing and fellowship around the table tonight. And we're going to invite the Reggie Sullivan Trio back up to entertain as our meals come to the tables. And remember that drinks are right back here in the back if you need to refresh your drink, and then also restrooms over here. And we will continue our program in just a few moments. So let's welcome back the Reggie Sullivan Trio.